ago, the president sent somebody over to the Senate and he announced a new policy. And the new policy was that the president, under his understanding as being the commander-in-chief, he could assassinate American citizens. Now, he explained it constitutionally. He said that he's the commander-in-chief. And if it's not prohibited in the Constitution, he's allowed to do anything he wants. I think he has it flipped around a little bit. He's supposed to be able to do only the things that he has the explicit authority to do, not the other way around. So he went and proved his point. He's already now assassinated 3 Americans. Well, the first one, Al-Awlaki, probably a bad guy, even though they never made any charges. They never had a trial. They never said he did anything. But he probably was associated with some bad actors. He wasn't in his country, so they said, we're going to go after him, and with a drone missile, they killed him. So he had no due process. But they said that another family member was an associated force, associated with him, so therefore he was guilty too. So the next week, they assassinated him. But it turned out he was 16 years old, barbecuing in his backyard with his cousin. I don't think that's what America is supposed to be all about at all. No. I think we have to have more respect for civil liberties in this country. And of course, the Congress is not much better. The president's taking too much power. The Congress encourages the president. They've done it, with the war on drugs. And also, just in December, they passed a bill, the National Defense Authorization Act. And it's obvious that you know a little bit about that. I'm always impressed by that. Because I know you didn't hear about it on the evening news. That's that bill, the Congress gave the president the authority to arrest any American citizen who is an associated force. Maybe website, attending a meeting, handing emails, or whatever. Just be loosely associated with somebody, you can be charged. But arrested by the military, which violates Posse Comitatus, that's essentially been repealed. Then you can be arrested, denied an attorney, denied charges, denied a trial, and put in a secret prison indefinitely. And that's what the law says. If we want to live in a republic, we can't allow this stuff to stay on the books. We gotta stand up and say, enough is enough. We need to change this and quit doing this to us. Issues for a long time, and in the last 4 or 5 years, the country has become alive with this because of the great concern about our debt and our foreign policy and our civil liberties. But the great thing is that there are certain groups coming together right now are really standing up for these values. One is a group of people who have known about these views for a long time, have felt frustrated, they've sort of dropped out, discussed it with both parties, and maybe never voted again, but now they're coming in and they're getting excited about a different view on government. But also, there's a young group of people now graduating into the adulthood who now, in the college age group, are enthusiastic about these views. That's what gets me excited. In the 50s and the 60s, when I was looking for information, trying to sort these things out, it wasn't all that easy. I mean, I certainly couldn't get it off the TV. I certainly couldn't get it from my government. I couldn't get it from my government schools. But there were just a few people who were holding together and expressing these views. But today, we don't have that handicap. Today, we have a very, very public secret weapon, that is the internet. internet because, you know, it's a powerful weapon. And they've already been working very hard on clamping down on the internet. And this Stop Online Piracy Act was a very, very bad bill. And let's be grateful that's been taken off the docket. Encouragement when the people wake up and send a message. Even those individuals in Washington who are sound asleep get the message, because they were getting onto that bill wholesale. They had the votes and it was about to come to the floor. The people like you woke up and sent messages out there. So we still have enough freedom to wake this country up and change the direction, but it has to come from the people. It won't come top down. It has to come from the people, because government reflects the values of the people. So if that's what you want and you speak out and you do your job, Washington will change. Personal convictions are that the goals ought to be very, very plain. Living in a free society is what I want. I've always been convinced that even if I lived in a free society and didn't have as much wealth, I still want to live in a free society. Fortunately for us, we don't have to make that decision. The freer society, the richer the society. The bigger the middle class and the more wealth there is, the better the distribution. So we never have to be bashful when the so-called humanitarians say, well, you who believe in the free market and capitalism, you don't care about people. If you care about people, you will defend liberty, you'll defend the free markets and sound money and no special interest out of the U.S. government to the special.
Yeah!
It is the freedom that we want. I think that the goal, the results then would be that it is our best effort to have peace in the world. Wars really drain. You cannot fight these kind of wars and expect to have wealth back here at home. Wars have to stop. Only defensive wars. That is the only thing proper. That's what the Constitution says. You can't start wars. So striving for peace and then bringing about the reforms necessary for the economic system to change, this is where the prosperity comes from. But then we have this other item about how we get along with each other. And we haven't done a real good job. So over the years, the many years, we have picked out certain groups in our society and they have been punished. They have been unfairly treated. And to some degree that still exists. And I complain about how the drug laws are enforced. You know, if you're poor and a minority, you're more likely to be punished than if you're rich and you're white. That's just the facts of life. But what we need to do is understand that freedom, when you realize it, it brings people together. Some people defend economic freedom, say yes, we need good economic freedoms and marketplaces and low taxes and you know, capitalism, and they do pretty well on that. But then they drift over and they go into the special interests. They want to use redistribution, so they're really not all that great all the time on the free market. Then there's another group say, well, what we want to do is protect personal liberty, but not economic liberty. But if you understand what liberty is all about, that it's individual, we get it from our Creator in a natural way, and our rights are natural to us, that it's the freedom that we want. It's not the decision on how we're going to use this freedom, because each and every one of us might use it differently. So we shouldn't tell other people how they're going to use their freedom, but you say, well, they might waste their money. Well, that should be their problem. You know, they waste their money. Responsibility to deciding what is good for you, what you put in your body, your mouth, and your social values. Yes, some of that is very, very dangerous, but you should suffer the consequences. But once you have government doing this, where they're trying to protect you from yourself economically or by your personal habits, There's nothing left to freedom when government's telling you what to do to protect you from yourself. So the responsibility falls on us. We have to assume this responsibility. That doesn't mean we don't care. We don't endorse the way people use their freedom. If they use it, if they follow a religion we don't like, that doesn't mean you have to endorse it. We don't endorse it. So if people have a lifestyle you don't like, you just say, well, you know, that's their business, and you write it off. But you don't have to be judgmental. And this to me,
Yeah.
is the reason people to come together, and they're diverse, because we want one thing. We want our right to our lives and our liberty. We want our freedom, and this should bring people together. So this is the reason.
President Paul, 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 President Paul.
And this is the wonderful part about liberty, is bringing people together. We knew and understood this for a long time. We did have this. It was a great test. It was the best test in the history of mankind. And yet, freedom is a very young issue. People keep thinking, well, you're going back to the Dark Ages, back to the Dark Age of the gold standard. I'll tell you what's Dark Ages, and that's tyranny. We don't want to go back to tyranny. We want to advance forward with liberty. So this is the reason that we have this wonderful opportunity. Yes, it's tough times. We have tough economic times. We're in perpetual war. We have this inevitable debt crisis that's bearing down. But the solution's out there. And it's not like we have to invent something new. It's not like it's brand new. It's not my idea. I try my best to bring this together. I don't want to go back to any dark age. I want to pick up the pieces we were and improve on it. Improve on the gold standard. Improve on how we bring people together. Improve on the understanding how free markets work and why it's important that we don't think wealth comes out of a printing press run by the Federal Reserve. A lot of these things are, rather logical, but we have to get that message out. People have to believe it's in their best interest to argue for a free society. So basically, we have an obligation to ourselves to read and understand and to be able to defend these positions. Because I am sincere. I do think governments are a reflection of the people. And right now, the people are changing, and that's where the encouragement is. So I come here with a positive note of saying that there's every reason in the world to believe the world is changing for the better, even though we face great dangers and we have to do something about it. But we can win if we can galvanize people and understand this is an intellectual revolution. This is truly a revolution that's going on. Been argued that an idea whose time has come cannot be stopped by armies or by government. I'm convinced of that too. Ideas are powerful. Ideas have consequences. Good and correct ideas have good and correct consequences. Bad ideas have bad consequences. Let's argue the case for good ideas and the principles of liberty, and we can work our way out of this and restore the greatness of America.